Good morning, beloveds. Ugh. Sorry, I'm a little stiff today. Worked out with the trainer yesterday, went for a run today, and I'm back doing my physical therapy. Um, I think that's one of the realities that I am I'm dealing with is that if I want to keep my back and my knees in good shape, then I need to keep, doing the physical therapy. I did take last week off because last week the floor was just too cold. I mean, the drafts just, yeah, heat rises. And getting down on the floor to do the physical therapy wasn't going to happen. So I'm getting back into routine. So yeah, and I was thinking about connections this morning when I was setting this up because we had a gentleman contact the center, and one of our practitioners has done a wonderful job of connecting with him, and and he asked her a whole bunch of questions, and then one of the questions he asked, she said, I don't know, I don't know, but I know somebody who does. And so she went to our senior minister, Reverend Jesse, and Jesse had the answer to one of the questions but not the other one. And it was at the end of the board meeting. He had asked the practitioner and I stay on for something else, and she happened to have this conversation, and I was like, you know what? I bet that the archives would know. And he was like, you know what? I bet they would. And so I said, well, I'm friends with her on Facebook. I'll shoot her a message on Facebook. And she lives in her the time zone is the time zone behind ours. So she, even though I was contacting her late for me, it wasn't late for her. And she said, yeah, no, I have that information. I will be in the office on Friday. I will get it for you. So it's just like we have these wonderful little connections. It's like if you don't know the answer to something, if I don't know the answer to something, then I can go ask somebody else. And if they don't know, then they probably do know something. So we'll get you the answer. And that's the beautiful thing about community. We don't have to know every single answer, because if we don't know and we're willing, we can go ask. And when we go ask, we'll learn something. We'll learn something, because I straight up, I had no idea that this information would be in the archives. I just thought, well, if she doesn't know, she knows some people that might know, and no, she had the information in the archive. So my other thing is if you have not gone to Science of Mind archives, it's scienceofmindarchives.org, please go. They have a wealth of information. If it's not available online, then I'm quite sure that on the website there is a way to contact the archives. They do have a Facebook page, so you can do it through that as well. Contact the archives, because they might have the information. It's Which, by the way, one of the cool things about the archives, they have a Science of Mind textbook in Braille. Coolest thing ever. So, they also have, pictures and furniture and all kinds of really cool stuff. And so, Science of Mind Archives. Cool place. Run by a very cool lady named Kathy, who I went to ministerial school, which is why I know her. All right. We are closing in on the end of the month of love. We're also closing in on the end of this book. I'm going to do it through March, because I started it in March a year ago. And then we will move on. I'll find another 365. I'm committed to doing this for a while. All right, it is February 25th today, and our title is I Clear My Mind of Discord. Our Bible quote is, peace I leave you with, my peace I give unto you. And that is John 14:27. How are we going to heal ourselves and others? By first becoming convinced that love is a principle of nature. We have ample evidence, scientifically, logically and intuitively that there is no need for anyone in the world today to speak of love as mere sentimentality. We have to practice the presence of God as love, as friendship, as peace, as joy, if we would know the fullness of the adventure of living. It is a terrible burden to dislike people and to be critical. All it does is cover up a perpetual pain in our own heart. It is a whistling in the dark to keep up our own courage. How much easier is it to love people, to learn to forgive rather than to hold grudges? We should not go to bed at night until we have cleared our mind of every animosity. Love is the greatest healing agent on earth for our bodies as well as for our affairs. To be a friend is the greatest privilege I can experience. Therefore, I extend loving friendship to all I meet. I identify myself with the givingness of God's own nature, knowing that I am in league with the highest force in life. Alrighty then. There's so much in this. There's so much in this. Now, one of the things that I will tell you is it is written by a man and I am a woman. Okay? As if that's not evident. But why I say that is because frequently when I read things like this, one of the things that I am reminded as a woman, there are things that I have to do, to remain safe. And so that is one of the reasons why I do remind you that you can love people from a distance. And that goes for men as well, especially emotionally and spiritually. They tend to be in less physical danger than women do. So please bear in mind when I read these things, that's one of the differences between the way with Ernest and me. What you are getting is the fact that I am a woman, and there can be situations that can create real physical danger, and I'm not going to put myself in those, and I will never advocate that you put yourself in those. All right? So there are a whole lot of things that we can do from a distance. Okay? Although I am definitely on board with getting rid of discord, because the more discord we let go of, the less physical, spiritual, and emotional danger all of us are in. Okay, so I clear my mind of discord. Which brings up to mind that forgive and forget. And yes, forgiveness is a wonderful thing. Forgetting is a wonderful thing. But you can forgive and not ever put yourself in physical proximity to a person again. Okay? Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. John. How are we going to heal ourselves and others? By first becoming convinced that love is a principle of nature. We know this. It is a core teaching of science of mind. That the essence of the greatest power in nature, the greatest power in we ourselves is love. We have ample evidence, scientifically, logically, intuitively, that there is no need for anyone in the world today to speak of love as mere sentimentality. It is something that every single one of us have at the core of our being. We firmly believe that. Is it covered up by a lot of muck in some people? Oh yeah, yeah. And when we meet those people, what we do is we see the truth behind the exterior that they are showing us. And we can do that up close and working with them, or we can do it from a distance. We we have to practice the presence of God as love. Okay, we have to practice the presence of God. And then he tells you, he gives you a list of ways to practice the presence. We practice the presence of God as love. We practice the presence of God as friendship. We practice the presence of God as peace. We practice the presence of God as joy. So anytime we are doing any of those things, then we are practicing the presence of God. And when we are not experiencing any of those things, then one of the things that we can do is we can, I'm going to say, stop for a moment and call that up. We can call up whatever it is that we are lacking at the moment. We can say, okay, this is a quality of God. This is a quality of spirit. I am calling this forth into my experience. So practicing the presence. And how do you practice the presence? Meditation. All of your spiritual practices. Reading sacred literature, listening to sacred music, or just music that, invokes that. And then focusing on whichever particular quality you're working on at the moment. So we have to practice the presence of God as. We have to recognize that all of these things are qualities of God. As love, as friendship, as peace, as joy. If we would know the fullness of the adventure of living. Because just recently, like a couple of days ago, Ernest said, we're not living fully. We're not living fully. Well, how do we live fully? This is how. This is how. Practice the qualities of God. Practice the presence of God. Practice the presence of spirit. Practice. Act as if you are spirit in motion, because that is the truth of your being. It is a terrible burden to dislike people and to be critical. I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement. Hating other people is just too hard. There's even a Martin Luther quote about hate being too great. Is it Martin Luther King? Could be Nelson Mandela. About hate being too great of a burden to bear. So, set that down and walk away from it. And when you set aside being critical and you set aside dislike, you have a lighter being. I have a lighter being. Do I have moments? Yes. And then I realize I can't do this. And that may be some of the forgive and forget. It's like if there are people that just inspire me to, and it's all me, it's me making it can be me making a judgment, or it can be me making a discernment. Because there are people who are just going to be toxic to you. And you have every right to look at them and say, I love you as a child of God, but I choose not to have you in my presence. And then you move on with your life, and I'm going to use the air quotes, forget them. You have blessed them as the child of God that they are, and you have moved on into the, as I like to say, the process of your life, of which they no longer have a part to play. You don't dislike them, because when you dislike them, you're giving them space in your head. All right? It is a terrible burden to dislike people and to be critical. All it does is cover up a perpetual pain in our own heart. That's true. It's too heavy of a burden to bear. And frequently we dislike people for petty reasons. So that's just, give that up. Just give that up. And then when you have an honest reason to dislike them, then that's when you forgive and forget. You bless them as the child of God that they are, and you move on without them. Don't let them take up space in your head. It is the whistling in the dark to keep our own courage up. How much easier is it to love people, to learn to forgive rather than hold grudges? And you can love, as I said, you can love people from a distance. Or you can love them as a child of God and move on. Holding a grudge, I think the Buddha is quoted as saying that it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Holding on to a hot coal because you're the one that gets burned. That's a grudge. We should not go to bed at night until we have cleared our mind of every animosity. And really honestly, I'm gonna say that when people have hurt you and you don't want to go to bed with this animosity, then you bless them as the child of God that they are. You say, I know that you are a child of God. You are a child of spirit. And at the core of your being is love. And I'm going to use the word, and I pray that you find this. And then feel free to keep them at a distance. You do not have to find that core. That is not your job. That is their job. But you are welcome to know that it is there. All right. So we should not go to bed at night until we have cleared our mind of every animosity. That's just my suggestion on how to do it. Love is the greatest healing agent on earth for our body as well as our affairs. There's a whole lot of science behind that. There is a whole lot of science behind that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always on the do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. If you want to be an agent of healing in this world, the best way to get started on that is to love yourself. To love yourself. Because if you love yourself, then you can let that divine love flow through you. All right. To be a friend is the greatest privilege that I can experience. Therefore, I extend loving friendship to all that I meet. I extend loving friendship to all that I meet. And then they get to make the choice on whether they choose to stay in my life or not. And their actions determine that as well. And that's why I made that comment about the difference between me and Ernest Holmes. It's like, I will extend the branch of friendship to you, and then you get to choose if you want to stay in my life. And that's a twofold thing. If you choose to stay in my life as my friend, great, that's wonderful. But if you choose to stay in my life and you are not reciprocating that friendship, then I'm going to love you, but you're not going to stay in my life. So, I identify myself with the givingness of God's own nature, meaning that I am going to recognize that you are a child of spirit, you are a child of God, you are a child of love. Knowing that I am in league with the highest force in life. It means that I'm going to put you on a prayer list and pray for you for the rest of our time, even beyond when I don't remember your name. So, because I do endeavor to pray for all of the people, all of the sentient beings, that they know who they are. That they know that they are children of God. That they know at the center of their being. Which means I get to treat for people I don't know. All right. Well, that was Discord. I clear my mind of Discord. Every day is a brand new day. When I open my eyes in the morning, it is a brand new day. And I'm going to go get it. Which means I need to go get it now. All right, beloveds. As always, I do encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. The more you practice on yourself, the more you will have to give away. I want you to be able to go and look in your eyes, in the mirror, and see love looking back at you. That's what I want. That's what I want for every single person in the entire world, including myself. And you are a beloved child of God, in whom spirit is well pleased. You deserve it. You absolutely do deserve that love. Okay. Cat walked in the room, looked at me and went, oh, never mind. So do something to engage your mind and your body today. And I don't know about where you are, but here in South Texas, we are back to beautiful weather. So open your windows, get some fresh air. If you see the sun, get a little sun on your face. It will do wonders for you. 5-10 minutes of sun early in the morning resets your chemistry, can reset your brain, can get you that fresh perspective that frequently we're looking for, and it will help you sleep at night too. Early morning sun, best thing to reset your sleep chemicals, or your sleep hormones, I guess I should say. So I would also encourage you to open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven now. That is the state of grace that we live in. It is up to us to open our eyes and see it. All right, beloveds. Have a wonderful day. Do what you need to do to make it that way. Okay? Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. And if it's Thursday, there is a prayer circle tonight at 7 p.m. And that's a Telebridge call. If you're interested in that, get on our constant contact, email info@creativelife.org. If you're interested in the prayer circle, they do it most Thursday nights. It's like a half an hour, 7 to 7:30 Central Standard. So please feel free if you want to call into that. The 2 practitioners that do that are wonderful. All right, beloveds, have a wonderful day.